We're with Ethan just on the eve of London Marathon. It's been quite a week for you. Can you, I guess, put into words what the few days since Boston have been like?
Very busy, a lot of travelling, a lot of media, but also kind of just unbelievable. I wasn't really prepared for what could happen at Boston, so everything that I thought was going to happen didn't, and I couldn't predict it, but yeah, I'm happy to be in London and sort of settling in and ready to race again on Sunday.
So just reflecting on Boston, obviously it's a historic achievement. You're the first Brit to win any of the Boston races since 1985, I think it was. So, are you ahead of where you thought you were going to be? Has this come ahead of schedule?
So far ahead of schedule. I only started marathon racing about 2 years ago, and Boston was my 12th marathon, so to have such a huge progression in such a short amount of time it can be a bit daunting, a bit overwhelming, but each race is different, so I'm taking each race as it comes and trying not to get caught up on what's happened. But yeah, I'm very excited for what the future could hold.
How much does it shift your expectations with, a Paralympic summer ahead? Is it hard not to start thinking ahead towards these things?
I mean, for me, it would be my first Paralympic Games if I went, so it's not too difficult for me to kind of just sit and relax about it. I really want to go to a Paralympic Games. That's such a huge achievement in itself, and the marathon course is difficult at the Paralympic Games. It's not the best. It's not the best flooring for us, so it's gonna be difficult. And there's so many strong women. There's such a strong field that there's no bets on really.
Well, you've just demonstrated that on a technical course that you're emerging as a force to be reckoned with, I guess.
I mean, I think, everyone has their different strengths. I like the downhill, and all I can do is try and work on my weaknesses and see where it goes from there.
What is it about the downhill that you liked? You were talking at length in the press conference there about the speeds that you're hitting.
I like pushing myself to the limit. I like seeing what my body is capable of, what my chair is capable of as well. And going that fast downhill, it's a really strange feeling because you're scared, but you have so much adrenaline and it's exciting all at once, and I like the way it feels.
Is that true? You were up to about 68 kilometres an hour?
Yeah, 68 kilometres, 42.5 miles an hour, I think. So that's a new personal best for how fast I've ever gone, but we'll see, maybe I can go faster next year.
How does it feel when you're sort of that low to the ground? Is there a sort of a closer connection with what you're feeling, I guess, as well?
Yeah, so I made the conscious decision to not look at how fast I was going while I was actually going down that hill, because I know that it was scary and it would put me off focus. But when I'm going downhill, I just look at my front wheel and I see what's ahead. I do a small scan, but I just tuck in and I stay there and I feel the ground underneath my tyres, and you can feel it. It's like it almost roars back at you. And I love that feeling.
Yeah. And you mentioned as well in the press conference about how this year it's equal prize money at London Marathon, and I was wondering how much of a difference that makes to you financially. And am I right in thinking, for example, that you crowdfunded to get your chair?
Yeah, so I did a GoFundMe to get my racing chair, and I was so lucky to have so many amazing people put that money towards it, and I was able to get my new racing chair. But for example, I only have one set of wheels because our racing wheels, they're full carbon, they're expensive, and it's hard to be putting down £2,000 on a pair of wheels, whereas most other athletes at this point in time will have a training set of wheels and a racing set of wheels and maybe some spare. So for me, equal prize money doesn't just mean that Paralympic sport is on the up, but it also means that I can make a living out of doing what I love, and I don't have to be stressed about how expensive our sport is, because as the technology advances, it gets more expensive and it gets harder to get these pieces of equipment, So for me, it just gives me more opportunity to get on an even playing field.
Yeah. I mean, with World Athletics announcement last week about prize money for athletes at the Olympics and things, so this is obviously a topic that's becoming increasingly common, and I think there's a misconception perhaps that athletes are wealthy people, and when the reality is very different.
Yeah, I mean, I work part-time, so I'm able to have enough money to just live my daily life. sport, especially wheelchair racing, is so expensive that almost everything you get from it gets put straight back into it. I'm so lucky to be in the position that I have excelled on the road where you can get paid, but for example, people on track, they don't get that sort of prize money. And I just feel, I feel so lucky that I'm coming into the world and after everyone has worked so difficult to get this, and I'm sort of getting to feel the reward of it. But I'm hoping that London doing this as well will sort of encourage other races to also give equal prize money, or just put the prize money up for us athletes, because we work so hard and we deserve the equal pay.
Yeah, and just on the technology side of things, it's obviously with the advances in footwear, it comes up all the time at the marathon, and it's similar with the advances with the wheelchairs. But can you sort of explain kind of the difference in terms of how much more of a part technology, or how critical a part the technology plays in wheelchairs, perhaps compared to how the footwear's changed?
So I like to liken wheelchair racing a bit to F1 in the fact that our equipment is custom built to us. It's built to go fast, and it's not built for comfort, and it's always advancing. There's always new things that are coming into the sport, and it needs to be fast. We need to fit in it. It needs to be light, and so many other things on top of that. The technology is so important for us. There are so many different types of chairs at the moment, and there are chairs that are definitely more suited for road and more suited for track. But it's so much more technical than what it might seem on the outside. We don't sort of just go and say, oh, I like the look of this chair, I'm going to pick it up. There's so much more thought that goes into it. Even tyres and tyre pressure, there's countless amount of testing that us as athletes have to do. And it's so individualised. And I think it's really important that more people can understand just how technical our sport is. And there's still a long way for us to go. We need to push past these boundaries and see what is capable. But I think, in the next 5-6 years, we're going to see so much more advancements, and I'm hoping that it will make it, one, more exciting for people to come and watch, but also maybe make it easier for us to explain why wheelchair racing is such an incredible sport.
And just finally, for this weekend, how, with such a rapid turnaround between marathons, how would you sort of assess your chances going into this weekend?
I think, like we said, there's such a strong women's field. You never know what's going to happen. We're 2 majors in to the series at the moment, and we've had different winners each time, different people in the podium, and this is going to be a really tough race. This is my 3rd London, and some of these girls have been doing a lot more, some have done less, but I think I really can't say what's going to happen on Sunday. I feel good. My chair is in good shape, it's in good health, so it's really going to be all about the day, and what happens on the line will happen. But I know for sure it's going to be an interesting and exciting race.